The ongoing battle of Apple being trash. Just an ongoing battle, man. And it could be user error, perhaps.
I already told you I don't like your tone. I already told you I don't like your tone today. All right, you come out the gate, you're fucking grumpy. Okay,
like I don't know why that is, man.
Like a woman that hadn't eaten and she's getting hangry. Food. You know,
I did need some food. I was in the gym earlier, and I borderline. And this is not by design, but I intermittent fast for the most part. This is not by design. Like I'm not intermittent fasting like at all. But I didn't eat this morning. All I had was some green tea, like a big pot. I got like a little French press green tea, and it's got me like chiseled on another level, which is outstanding. It's been hooking me up. However, I didn't eat until like 2:00 this afternoon, which is probably why I'm getting chiseled. And look at the way I'm looking, because I'm, like I said, I'm intermittent fasting on some damn level, which I did not intend to do.
Have you noticed a difference? Like, have you gotten away from coffee then?
Oh, I don't do coffee at all. I stopped that altogether after the new year. Like I cut that out because I was having these crazy headaches. I'm watching TV. I'm having headaches. I'm like, my energy was jacked up. I'm not sleeping well. I'm like, okay, hold on a second. Like, let me just hard reset, stick to the basics. What is going on? So I know that my peak health was at a time when I followed this book, Fit for Life. This book, now granted, like the what they would ideally have you be is a vegan. Nothing but fruits, vegetables, all that good stuff, no meats. And they understand that. And they're like, listen, we know that is not the lifestyle for everybody. And we don't want to tell you that you have to do this in order to be healthy. So their thing was, okay, listen, just try this one shift to your diet. When you wake up in the morning, have nothing but water. I mean, not water, but fruit until noon. Afternoon, after once you hit noon, do whatever you want. I mean, try to incorporate a vegetable if you have like meat. I still have like meat and a vegetable, but just from to the time you wake up till noon, fruit only. And then basically kind of just watch, because your body's going to, instead of it waking up and being shocked with like this heavy stuff, because we want to do like the bacon and the eggs and all that. They're like, make it something that's light that your body can process fairly quickly and it can digest fast. You kind of like, essentially like kind of flush out your system with all that, like the good stuff, you know, and the fiber and all that. I did that for months, and I'm talking like within a week, I'm sleeping deeper. Everything's better. My energy is up, and I have like a chronic fatigue thing anyway, as it is. So I was like, oh, because there's something to it. So what I also did was I got rid of the coffee, which I was jamming on coffee, you know, got rid of that, started doing green tea because it still has caffeine. You know what I mean? It's not like there's no caffeine. However, doing that, because you're like, what are these slimming pills that they got out there? They got caffeine. I mean, you got green tea pills.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so like, it's not like it's not, you know, it adds to it anyway in terms of like the slimming, right? But anyway, I got rid of the coffee, got rid of all that crap, still eat my meats and all that. But, you know, I've been sticking more. So I got away from it. I just night and day feel better. And like and it's not like I don't have that spike of energy like I normally would with like a cup of coffee, which that has me like on, but I don't need that. At least not right now. I think I got to a point where I was like my body became like dependent on it and addicted to it. I could drink a Turkish coffee and take a nap and be gone, but it wouldn't be quality sleep because I'll wake up 30 minutes later and then be up for the next 10 hours. And I'm like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then I'm just like stuck. And I wonder why I got, you know, this chronic insomnia.
I used to do that as well. I would drink a cup of coffee in the afternoon, and I'm talking about like probably like mid-20s, you know, living whatever kind of life I was living back then. But like, you know, drink a cup of coffee or drink like an energy drink and then just pass out for like 2 or 3 hours. But it would work the opposite way for me for whatever reason. You know what I've discovered in the new year that I don't care for anymore? Creamer. So I still drink coffee every morning, but it's normally like I'll have a cup, maybe 2, depending on what my body is doing that morning, you know? But I'll tell you, after, this is definitely too much information, but once I've gone through my morning routine, we'll just call it that.
Process.
Right? The process. Once it's process complete, there's no more caffeine for me for the rest of the day. Like I don't drink. Dude, there's people who, you know, right, who drink coffee all day long,
2 to 3 times. Yeah, about to say.
I'm talking about like 5, 6, 7 times. They're, you always see them. They have their coffee cup in their hand, walking around, and I'm like, yo, like, is that same coffee from this morning? No. I've had like 4 or 5 cups since then. Like, I can't do it.
Ain't decaf neither.
No,
and so, it's stuff like that is where they, that Latte Factor. You ever heard of that? The Latte Factor. So people are always talking about how they can't save any money. They're like, yo, like I'm broke. I can't save, da-da-da.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't remember the book that I read, but the guy was talking about, well, okay, how about the Latte Factor? Like, do this. Instead of having your 5 Starbucks coffees that are you're dropping $5 to $7, maybe even more, however you do it, I don't know, on coffee, cut that bad boy in half. So now instead of you dropping, the $30, $40 on coffee throughout the course of a day, now you're saving that $20 a day, $100. Well, I guess to say during like the work week, right? Because maybe people aren't going out and getting Starbucks on the weekends, but that's $100 a week for $100 a month. Case closed. And it's just like now it's like, okay, so where's your excuse? It's basically saying like, we have all this entertainment. There's a lot of fluff in how we spend our money.
Yeah.
You can easily cut that and get to like the meat of it, where it's like the essentials. And now you have more than enough. People start finding they're like, oh, like I actually have like a lot of dough. I just spend my money in stupid ways, or like to feed our addictions and all that. Sort of like the luxuries.
I haven't heard that called the Latte Factor, but I have heard the joke. The woman walks up to the guy, and he's drinking a beer, and she's like, "Do you drink beer every day?" He goes, "Yeah, I have about a 6-pack a day." She's like, "Oh wow, that sounds expensive." He's like, "Yeah, about $10 a 6-pack, $10 a day." She goes, $10 a day, that's $3,650 a year. She's like, had you been investing that for the past 20 years, you could have bought an airplane. And the guy looks at her and goes, "Where's your fucking airplane?" Look,
I like that.
Don't get at me about my vices when you don't have the proof, Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why so like, that's why first and foremost, when it comes to like all that stuff, I don't really care what people do with their dough. You know what I'm saying? I already know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I could, by all means, I can tell you like what I'm into and all that, but I don't tell anybody how they want to allocate, spend, whatever they want to do with their money. That's for them. Now, if someone asks me a question, like I said, I'll tell you what I do, but I don't really care at the end of the day because that doesn't affect me and mine. And I know that I'm going to be all right at the end of the day.
So that being said, you ready for my shameless plug of the day?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Brought to you by Apothic Dark.
Oh, that's a good one too.
So I went up to, have you ever been into like Total Wine and More?
You know what? I keep hearing about this place. I have not been there. I need to go there. I know there's one, actually there's like a new one not too far from here. I just have not been. And everybody keeps talking like, yo, you got to go to Total Wine. Like how have you not been to Total Wine?
Yeah, I text my wife.
Tomorrow. I'll make a power move tomorrow. I'm going to go there.
I told my wife, I was like, hey, I just landed in Myrtle Beach today. And I was like, hey, I'm going to go to Total Wine and More. She's like, don't you have like things to do this afternoon? I'm like, yeah, why? She's like, have you ever been in a Total Wine before? I was like, no. She goes, you're going to get lost. It is it's an adult, I almost said adult toy store. It's not an adult toy store. It's like an adult candy store. That's a different one. That's total. That's just,
we call that the Playhouse.
Yeah. Total ... and more. Yeah. You got to get that special treatment, that Kanye treatment where you go in the back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
I want the shit nobody else is getting. Okay.
It's like, that's not what I wanted. No. Get it off me.
Here's your German safe word that's 37 characters long.
Yeah, you're not pronouncing it right. No. Like, that's not it.
Sleeper's coffin.
God damn it! Get it off me.
Who are these guys?
Why are they all oiled up?
I'm never telling Salt about this trip. It's total.
Yeah. I try to give you some pound, you know what I mean? And you're just like, ah. I'm like, oh, whoa. I didn't do anything. What's the matter with you?
Total chains and more.
I hear that though. I hear it's like Walmart of libation.
It's a candy store,
you know what I mean?
but for adults. Yeah. I mean, truly, like, I mean, I walked
like everything. No, it's not just alcohol. It's like everything. I just heard you can find like all like I might be able to find like Beirao, that liqueur that I love from Portugal. Like in my mind, I'm thinking like, people, the way they talk about it, I could find something exotic like that. There.
Yes. It's not just wine and beer. So out here, randomly enough, and I'm guessing it's because it's the South, they have it separated. You can only serve hard liquor until like a certain time. But you can serve beer and wine until later, is my understanding. I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So you go in, and to the left, you can go into the liquor section. And I'm going to tell you what, man, like these shelves were probably 8 feet high and had boxes and boxes and boxes of all the extras stacked up on top. But the size of all of it. I won't try to specify like just the Scotch and bourbons and American whiskeys and stuff that they had, but the entire just alcohol, like liquor section, you know, tequilas, vodkas, all the things, the size of a football field.
Jeez.
It was, and maybe that's an overestimate. I'm going to say the entire store. If you include the wine and the beer and all that, the entire thing, probably the size of a football field. It was massive.
It's like a Buc-ee's almost.
Yes.
Like Buc-ee's down in Texas, something like that, but just nothing but pure, just alcohol.
But it's just alcohol. And then on the other side, you go to the right. So you actually have to check out of the liquor section, walk back through the other entrance to go into the wine section. And then it's just, I mean, it's everything you can imagine. You know, it's aisles of just Cabernets, aisles of Pinot Noirs. And so, you know, this is Apothic is a staple of mine anyway. Like I think it's about $10 a bottle. You know, it's nothing fancy, but it's like, if I'm just going to drink the bottle by myself, I don't need an $80 bottle of wine, right? No. I'm not trying to impress nobody.
At least not yet. I'm trying to impress myself. We'll see. I'm to light these candles and sit in the tub and pour myself this $80 glass of wine.
So here's the cherry on top in this adult ice cream store. Now I've referred to it as 3 different things. Full-blown walk-in humidor.
Get out of here. That's in there too.
Yeah, and it was nice. So they actually had, and I've got it sitting over on the in the bar here. I'm in a hotel again, as you might be able to tell.
Home away from home.
Oh fuck, man, constantly. A different kind of Rocky Patel. So I might save it. It's called The Disciple.
Yes.
Dude.
Yes. I want to say that we had one of those before.
We did.
You gave me one some time ago.
I think we're in a town called Temecula, California. Yeah. So we were in SoCal, and so like when it comes to what I smoked and who I smoked it with and where, I have a borderline like eidetic memory. But if you asked me like what my wife told me yesterday, I'd be like, it was, I can guarantee it was something important.
That's not in my long-term memory.
I feel so bad sometimes too, man, because the shit that I remember versus the things that I should remember. This is why I tell him, like, babe, like, here's what I need you to do. Send me a bullet points checklist via text. You know, if you send me paragraphs, because I'm a quick reader, right? I scan when I read. If I try to pay attention, you remember like grade school, and they're like, hey, this week we're going to read Of Mice and Men. You're like, oh, okay. You're sitting there, and if you're reading, for me, if I'm reading word for 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 word, and I'm just gone. Like it's just,
gone. Yeah.
But if I'm like, okay, you know, like I get the hint, or the gist, right? I get the overall, but to sit there, like, notes. But man, when I pick up my phone, and it's not just my wife, like anybody, and I just got paragraphs, I'm like
why are we writing a novel in a text?
This is a later me problem. This is a later me read, you know. Yeah.
Who has that type of time? Unless I'm on the toilet and I'm camped out, I'm not gonna read it. It has to be in like chunks. I mean, shit. Like I know, like man,
I read it, but that's because I love my wife, and I really do try not to get in trouble. I really try to stay out of trouble.
You need to like keep all the details.
Anyway,
I mean, I know reading for me. I remember as a kid, I didn't read not a damn thing. Now, and granted, I say that because I didn't read novels. What I read was magazines. I was a big gamer, so I was reading Game Pro, and like when that thing came in the mail, that magazine, I was all in, and I just devoured it cover to cover. I just want to know all the different games, all the new systems, all that good stuff. So technically, I did read. Now, at the time, people thought nobody thought that I was like an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I didn't necessarily. So like for me in school, what I didn't do was I didn't really do like the homework in terms of like the reading assignments, because I found that everything that we discussed in class was in the book. And I was like, well, then why am I going to read this again? She just got finished saying this stuff. This is stupid. So I just memorized everything she said. And I was like, all right, well, I call that case closed. And then anything that I would miss, like friends of mine would fill in like the gaps, you know? So like, so I asked them like, you know, so what did you get from the reading last night? Well, this happened and this happened. Oh, okay. So like for me, I'm just listening and just gathering. And then if I had any questions in the homework, I would fill in those gaps because those are like specific questions that I can go dig in and go get it. I don't have to sit there and read the entire. And granted, this is how I got through all my education for the most part. You know, there's a lot of just paying attention. I became a reader over time because like I would tell you like this. When I had a novel in my hand, within 5 minutes, like you talking about like word for word, and you're going like this. For me, I was word for gone.
I've actually seen you do that before.
Man. Oh, and it's I would just power down, man. Like it's in mid sentence. I'm like, and then
but I'm out. It's not just when you're reading though. You and I remember you and I were in a hotel room one time watching a football game, randomly enough. I don't remember exactly where this was, but we were in a full-blown conversation. And I remember asking you a question. I'm looking at the TV, asking you a question in the middle of a football game, and you didn't respond. And I was like, I don't think there was anything offensive about what I just asked. And I looked over at you, and dude, you were chin on your chest, gone.
I was praying because I was hoping for the outcome of that game to go the way I wanted. That's what I was doing.
It didn't work.
And then eventually I woke up and I said, amen. And then we moved on. Boom.
That's it.
So yeah, that's definitely like a thing with me, especially if I, you know, oh yeah, come by indeed.
See you in the morning.
Yes indeed. Yeah, sitting and sometimes if you know, because I mean, we push these long days, man. Like, you know, especially like me, like the insomnia piece, right? Like this is why I'm trying to change the game and shift it up a little bit where I can actually go to bed at like a 10 and 11 as opposed to a 2 or 3. And then I'm like functioning off 5 hours thinking like this is like the norm since I was a kid. Like, you know, 6 hour night was like beautiful. Mm-hmm. I feel like well rested. People are like, well, you know, you should get at least 8 hours. Says who? You know what I'm saying? Like, says who? Like that's bullshit. You know, like I don't agree. Because I'm not an 8 hour dude. I've never been like that since day one.
I've never heard you sound nerdier or whiter. You sounded like that comedian. What's his name? It's a beautiful impression. See, this is the kind of shit I can't remember. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. I know you like the guy. I know you like the guy. He's a good
I mean, who?
He talks like this when he's making fun of people. Jim Gaffigan.
Oh, yeah. Gaffigan. Yeah, he's a funny dude, man. And
you should get it out. Yeah.
Well, this is the type of stuff. This is what people tell me, and I look at them crazy because they're telling me how I should function. Yet I get way more done in a couple of days than they do in a couple of weeks. You know,
well, like, once again, it's people thinking that you need to be more like
one size fits all.
Yeah, but
it ain't no one size fits all. There's people that do even less than me that believe like sleep is the cousin of death, as Nas said in a song. But you know, they are just wired, boom, 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 boom. and they're just nonstop. And for me, at least I get in 5 hours. 5 hours. Maybe that's why I'm grumpy and all these other things.
No, I sleep. I don't sleep. I don't think sleep has anything to do with your grumpiness. I know you too well. There's an external influence that you have not yet alluded to, but I can see it on your face. I can see it in your body language.
That's why I go to the gym.
Dude, these people out here talking, shit. We've talked about this before, even probably on a prior podcast, but people trying to give you opinions or advice or something like that on what works for them. But like you said, it's not a one size fits all type of, world that we live in. Or 2, giving you advice on shit they know nothing about. You know what I mean? It's like the chick talking to the guy about why he drinks and he could have saved all this money and bought an airplane. You don't have a fucking airplane. So what are you talking about?
Yeah. It's funny that you talk about that. Like, this girl I dated, I have my tipping policy, how I go about tipping folks. And I went and I did that.
Like restaurant bars and stuff?
Restaurant, yeah.
Yeah.
All the above, right? Like, so if I'm in...
Well, you got to clarify. You could have been talking about cow tipping. That's something I'm familiar with.
Well, then, that's something I have not done and probably never will do. But yeah, it's exactly like, so tipping in terms of like, so for me, this is just my hard line, right? There's if I'm at a restaurant, I typically just do, if it's like if I get like one little coffee or whatever, I'll do the 10%. Boom. If I am at a restaurant, and even if it's not 10%, I always do like a flat $5. I'm just like, basically you did basic stuff, you get a basic 5. And that's just like across the board, right? No matter if I got a $10 meal, $20, and I'm saying by myself, I just give them 5. Boom. If they did a little extra, then I'll be like, you know what? I'll give you that 10. Now, if you do some next level service where I see you out here jamming, like you're hustling, like you're doing not only my table, I'm talking superb service over there. I'm getting superb service over here, and you're juggling table like this dude. And there's only been like 2 or 3 folks in my lifetime that I've seen operate on this high level. And not only were they like personable, right? We could talk as they're jamming, right? And I'm just like, they just like love their job. It's not just, you could tell like they enjoyed it, or it's just that they put everything into it. They wanted to do, they wanted to provide great service to everybody that they had.
As they
someone
should.
Like that, absolutely. Someone like that, I give them 100 out the gate, because I appreciate that you don't take this job for granted. You're not looking at it as something like, well, like it's demeaning or anything like that. Like you took personal pride in your work. And for me, if I was in that position, that's my way basically of saying thank you. I mean, for being you, for doing that. And for me, $100 is going to keep you in the game just a little bit longer to do that. Whatever like the end goal is, I know you're not going to do this forever, because if you're moving like that, if you're operating like that, this is just a starting point, or you've got other things going on. And this is like probably one of many hustles possibly, but that's my way of saying thank you. And I'm hoping, and not hoping, but I know that that's going to have a huge impact. Like, this dude just dropped like $100 on me. Like that was awesome.
Right.
And then they'll be like, that whatever they go off in life and do, hopefully I could be a part of that. So I say that because in terms of the tipping, talking about people giving dumbass advice, I do the 10% thing when I go out, or I do my $5 thing when I go out. And when someone like, this girl just the other day, and she was like, well, you know what? It's supposed to be 20%. And I was like, and? She's like, well, I used to be a server and you're supposed to give 20%. And I was like, why? Like, that's your rules of tipping. And and I appreciate that. I don't need you in my pocket telling me how to spend myself. Cause then I started breaking down what I do. And then she was like, when I told her that, I was like, so this is why I did this. She's like, oh. I was like, so do me a favor and stay out of my pocket. Yeah, man, luckily I was in a good space mentally to not use STFU. However, I would, man, everything in my soul, because you already know, like I do a lot to keep myself in check. I want to think before I speak. I do my best to do so, but not always do I have that discipline. And I want to be a better person. I don't want to be the dude from back in the day where people are like, yo, Salt, you're out of your mind. And I was like, you know what? And this is like after the fact, damn, I should have done better. I'm trying to be grown and not be that dude. So
it's not easy to be grown. And I'll tell you what makes it harder for guys like us with our mentality, is, and this is really good, bit of conversation, talking about tipping and stuff like that. I feel like we live in a world where people they're entitled and they just expect things, right? So
yeah, you expect the 20% and you gave me shit service.
You didn't do anything. And then so let's take that a little bit differently, right? So, pick a chain restaurant, something a cheap,
Taco
easy
Bell.
chain. No. Well,
like something you can actually. Did you?
Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
No. Okay, it's like a chain. Let's say Denny's.
Poison.
Yeah. Okay, real quick tangent on that level, right?
Okay.
I think he deserved it. So now, granted, I don't know. Now, granted, I don't know if the Taco Bell folks poisoned this too. So real quick. Taco Bell is in the news today because they apparently, one of the customers got poisoned with rat poison. Like it was in his burrito or something like that. And so he's in the hospital. He's critical. I'm sitting reading this like, oh, that's crazy. Like, I don't know what did he order? Like what number was that where you get a sprinkle of rat poison in your burrito? So the guy, I kept reading into it. The dude has been a pain in the ass for a while now. The dude's showing up saying, yo, I want free this. I want free that. He's been a nuisance for quite some time. And I think either one of and granted, I don't think the employees were out to hurt this man. On some level, I think that he did because of from what I'm reading, I don't know this dude. I don't give a damn about this dude, but he might have done it to himself. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're trying to get free tacos, maybe you're trying to get free tacos for life by poisoning yourself with rat poison. And now you think you have a claim. Kind of like someone who sets up, you ever see that movie Rat Race? Where they set up the shot glass and they go stumbling down the damn escalator and all that. They're trying to basically get paid. He might be one of them types that are trying to get paid. You know, the lady who burns herself with coffee at McDonald's and all that, you know, people like that. So
you looked at that article the same way I did. And granted, you sent it to me and I was like, all right. So I took a look at it and I was like, okay. He gets into arguments with the people at Taco Bell. The manager at Taco Bell is like, that's insane. We don't keep any poison here or anything like that. And I'm like, if I'm this dude and I'm a pain in the ass, I'm eating at Taco Bell all the time. So I'm not saying everyone who eats Taco Bell all the time is worthless. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying this guy is probably a worthless human being. Absolutely. Eating at Taco Bell all the time, looking for an easy paycheck. And if he goes in there and makes a claim, I was thinking the exact same thing you just said. Makes the claim they poisoned me with rat poison. If they can't prove that Taco Bell didn't, Taco Bell might just settle for a couple mil to stay out of court, and this dude is set for life. And I'm like,
just like that.
Now, borderline genius. Now you risk fucking killing yourself. You're also a piece of shit for going about business that way.
Yep.
But
and you know what? Now let's just be quick. Karma's a bitch. So say he does get paid, right? He does cash out on this, and Taco Bell's like, you know what? We don't even know what the hell. Like, granted, the way things are now, stuff gets settled out of court because it's just better off than going through the whatever process and spending all this extra money. Let's just give him a mill or two and just shut him up, right? Just stay away. We probably sign some document. Don't show up at my restaurants again. We paid you. Leave me alone. Go to McDonald's and go hassle them, you know? But now this is just me. This is me and my screwed up brain, perhaps more than likely. He gets paid. I hope that in a year or two, he's back to being a bum, because that would be justice served. And not even just like a basic bum, because he's probably going to go blow all this dough on expensive shit. He's going to be worse off than he is now, because he's going to be like probably quadruple bankrupt and can't handle business.
He's got a couple mil in his,
which isn't shit
in his pocket. It's not, but for him, it's probably a lot.
Oh yeah,
but
and now he's not going to invest it. He's not going to do nothing like that with it.
This is how karma's going to get him. He can now afford to eat elsewhere, so he's not going to Taco Bell fast food anymore. He's eating at like Ruth's Chris.
Oh, French Laundry, $1,000.
guaranteed
just to show up.
he chokes to death on a piece of fucking steak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And then people think he's just laughing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're just like, oh, like he's just I think he's just happy. Yeah, just let him.
No, he's gonna walk in. They're gonna be like, yo, that's the rat poison guy.
Oh man, let him hang.
And and here you go. I'll bring it back full circle. And he never fucking tips.
Man, on top of that.
You know what?
On top of that.
Death is knocking at your fucking door. You're just asking for it. Anyway, what was that, Final Destination? Way it can fucking get you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll go back to what you're saying earlier about tipping.
Yes, because I did. So I said Denny's. You said pick a chain.
Okay,
Denny's.
Let's take Denny's. If I'm at a Denny's, let's fucking somewhere in Texas. I don't care, right? And let's just say, again, purely for example, there's a young college student, male, female, don't care. And they are busting their ass, like you're saying. You know, my coffee never gets cold. My cup's always low. Full, doesn't get low. Yeah. You know, there's all the syrups, because they always got like 4 or 5 different kinds of syrup. They got all the, like, they don't even ask. They just bring all the stuff to you. Food is well prepared. You know, they're respectful. You know me, I'm big on respect. They're respectful, you know, courteous, timely, you know, like, you know, maybe it's a Denny's session like what you and I have, where Denny's is not just for breakfast, right? So it's like, okay, well, we're going to start with some mozzarella sticks. All right. So they bring those out first. They don't bring everything out together. It's all comes out. It's fresh. It's timely. That's what I mean by timely, whatever else. They're hustling. And the devil's in the details. They are being very detail oriented and methodical about how they're delivering our food to us. They strike.
It looks effortless.
Yeah, they strike up conversation. It's a good. I had a great conversation with a gentleman, the GM of the hotel I'm at right now earlier, and I'll get to that later. But that person, right, that college student in this particular story is getting tipped, and I mean, well, you know,
absolutely.
Now, on that note, I have been in nightclubs, Hollywood, Las Vegas, Miami, one coast to the other, actually all around the world. But in the United States specifically, they're horrible. The service is absolute garbage. And the thing is this whole like percentage thing, tipping a percentage, doesn't make sense to me, right? So giving somebody $100 at the IHOP because they did an outstanding job, that's easy. Giving somebody 20% on a $5,000 bottle service tab just because they brought bottles to your table, and I had to make my own fucking drinks? Nah. Nope.
Agreed.
Nope.
Yeah. All you're wearing is a bikini, which is great. Thank you. But don't care. Yeah. It's,
I'm getting nothing out of this interaction. Nothing. And she's working 10 tables, and of those 10 tables, they're all tipping 20% on $5,000 tabs. That's 10 grand. She's walking out with that night, and all they did was fucking. Now maybe they divided up or whatever else. That's still a shit. You think people at IHOP are making that and they're busting their ass? Yeah,
no, yeah, they're juggling plates and doing.
They're actually lucky if guys like you and I don't come in and they just get their normal percentage. They might make $80, $100 in tips for an entire shift, not $10,000 in a night, driving away in a brand new Benz. Like,
it's a different game for sure. Yeah. I need to get out there in my bikini, start bringing some bottles to tables.
I've seen you in that. What is that thing you got? That C string? Isn't that what you call it?
Oh snap! That's my Euro attire. They won't appreciate that out here in America. Maybe Miami, perhaps.
Now that's what you call a hot pocket.
How'd you eat the beans or the franks, son? Yeah, no, I would never, ever in my life rock anything like a C string. Let's go Google it, folks.
You know what?
No.
Let's give it a couple of years. We'll revisit this conversation.
And this will be the same My same answer. No.
When you're on your yacht watching the F1 races in Monaco, man, in your C string, and it's all over.
You know what? I'm telling you like this. If that is the attire of the boat, and that gets me on the boat, and I'm like, yo, listen, Sergei, I would love to be a part of this celebration. He's like, yeah, man, but it's all about we're only gonna be rocking, bathing suits and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, I got my trunks. No. We don't want to see, the less is better. Do you have a C string? I'm getting on that goddamn boat. I'm be out there. I'm be out there jamming, baby. Watching Lewis Hamilton.
Helicopter.
Well, I'm hoping I'm not spilling out. I just want to keep it all nice and compact and tight.
Sergei,
keep it in there.
This is my party trick. Look.
Yeah, I'm over here jumping rope,
I hate and I love the visual all at the same time. Because I borderline hope I'm right there next to you. Double dutching that jump rope. Hey. I know one thing: man. You're not going to trip over your shoestrings in a C-string.
No, absolutely not, man. That is a dream. That, man, to be on one of those yachts, watching one of them, watching F1, man, that'd be so tough. So tough. Mm-hmm. I mean, the thing is, how long am I going to actually be watching? I probably will catch 10 laps or at least 10 passings by, because you'll probably be inside watching on the TV, and then you'll be like, it'll be cool watching in real life, watching them go by for like the first few laps. But after that, you're watching the screen. You're trying to pay attention while there's activities going on. If we're on Sergei's boat, and you know what? Shout out to Sergei. I'm going to meet you one day. I don't know who you are, baby.
Wherever you are, Sergei. Yeah. Just know.
Yeah. We're going to meet one day. You know what I'm saying? You and your lovely wife, Veronica? Sure. You know what I mean? Like, we're about to hang out, and I'm going to be on your boat. Me and Papa are going to be on that boat. So we appreciate that in advance. But yeah, no, I mean, that'd be an awesome experience, man. Like, I mean, it's random stuff like that, though.
So talk to me about that real quick. Talk to me about that. Like, when is the F1? When does that pick up? When's that calendar start?
So that all kicks off. So MotoGP's in March. I want to say it's March is when F1 kicks in again.
Okay.
Or if anything, like early April. They're like right next to each other. So MotoGP, there's more races in Formula One. MotoGP ends in November, so does F1. So I want to say they both start from March to November.
So I heard F1's actually picking up in the States. Like they're adding, I think, races in Miami and Vegas.
Well, Miami was last year. I don't know if they're going to do it again.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Maybe it is, but I know Vegas is this year. Yes.
Vegas is this year.
Vegas is this year.
When is that?
I want to say it's this spring sometime, I want to say.
Okay.
March. I think it's early in the season. I think.
Here's why I'm asking. Yeah. Sergei, we'll introduce ourselves in Vegas.
He's like, come with me.
And if we get back to Monaco.
He's going to keep his contact. Hey,
Bravo,
this is my Instagram.
Yeah. Bravo us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But hey, Sergei, we got this show. I don't know if you know about this, but we were talking to you.
Have you ever heard of the Cruxmen?
Yeah. Oh, he's going to walk up and be like, hey, I like you guys' T-shirts. Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
We have this, this little modest little show on YouTube. Are you familiar? He's going to be like, no, I'm a multi-billionaire.
It says Cruxmen on the front. It says captain of C-string on the back. He's like, I must meet them. They will go perfect.
I'm wearing one right now.
I don't love it, but my wife loves the C-string. Veronica, she a freak, man.
Hey, you know what? Whatever Veronica wants is what Veronica gets. That's it.
Or Isabella, or whoever he's married to now.
Whatever, man. All the above. Show up because we're gonna be there. No, I'm trying. Mark these words. If indeed this happens, it's gonna be outstanding. It's gonna be outstanding.
Okay, all right.
That's it.
Marked. All right, marked.
Yeah. Mark these words. I mean, we're manifesting it as we speak.
Oh,
it's already
you already know.
cooking.
You already know.
It's already cooking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah,
so I want to do a cup. I mean, was it MotoGP? What was it? You went to something in Texas one time.
Oh yeah, MotoGP probably.
Okay.
That's the only thing if I'm gonna go there on my own to Austin, MotoGP.
Yeah. Well, let's look that up. Let's do the Vegas F1 this year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I would like to. I didn't make it to the tickets were crazy just to get out there and watch that. I mean, Formula One's expensive. MotoGP is bad, but Formula One is next level. So I figure at least with the cars racing through the streets, I'm not sure how they're gonna have it set up, but I could at least be there and kind of look through the fence maybe and catch it as it passes by at turn 3 or something. I don't know. But
oh shit, that's right, because they shut stuff down. Like that would be
the whole strip is shut down.
The Las Vegas Strip is where the actual race is.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
I
like
think the
Las
start
Vegas
finish. Is,
so they don't hit like the Motor Speedway. They create their own track.
Yeah. Like in Monaco, like when they're doing like all these other like
I know
Azerbaijan
Monaco,
and all that. Azerbaijan's the same thing. Like it's through the city. Like they're racing through the city. So yeah, no, it's gonna be intense. I think it's gonna be great. Like when they go out to Dakota, Circuit of the Americas in Austin, that's on the track, but they're not doing through the seat there. But this in Vegas, from what I understand, the start finish is the strip. So they're just gonna be hauling ass all the way down the strip. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, and that's where they're gonna start overtaking. You know what I mean? It's probably gonna be like a DRS zone, I'm sure, or something. I don't know, man. Like, yeah,
we should look into doing like especially like one of the casinos, like Cosmo still has balconies. Like, a lot of them, they don't have balconies anymore, so they're afraid people are going to lose all their money and fucking jump off the off the balcony or whatever.
That's a personal choice.
You know what? That's what I say. Fuck them. I mean, like no amount of boo-hooing and like, oh my God, they killed themselves. Like, yes. And no amount of shock and awe or boo-hoo or whatever you want, not shock and awe, but no amount of sitting here and praying and crying is going to bring them back. They're splattered all over the Las Vegas Strip. I don't mean to laugh about that. But I have a particular image that I'll keep to myself that, comes to mind. And you know what? Like you said, personal choice.
I mean, yeah, it's not to make light of that, but some things are just out of your control. People are going to do what they're going to do.
They are. So what I was going with that though is we should look at like a place like, like I said, Cosmo. There's a few others that I think still have balconies though, and see if you can get like a corner. See if we can get like a corner room there to like that overlooks the strip, because then you don't got to worry about the crowds down there on the strip. Oh, you also don't have to worry about getting hit by an F1 car going 180 miles an hour.
Hey, if he dies, he dies, man. That'd be a weird way to go out.
I'm not worried about him dying. I'm worried about his rogue tire taking me out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, when I say if he dies, he does. I'm talking about me. If I get hit by a random ass tire because I'm a fan, I get smacked upside the head by this fucking flat ass tire. Yo, that's just man. Like, what are the chances? What are the odds? Like, damn, it's just wrong place, wrong time, man. Caught a L like that. Man, Sultan lost his head at the F1. It's crazy, man.
I'm gonna need some AI salt then to continue this podcast.
Yeah, I'll start downloading my conscience now. Nah, man,
people are gonna see me like splitting the screen where I'm me, and then like I jump into another screen and I'm you.
Yeah, it's some little hologram over here talking to you, like a little POC hologram. Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm a real good looking black man. Yeah, how much deeper my voice just got. Hot pocket.
Oh, shit.
That was my best you impression I could possibly do. I can't.
I can't even say if it's good or not. I don't even know how I even sound, man. What did that GM tell you? I need to mention it's GM.
Yeah. So this guy.
Why were you chatting with the GM?
So
must have
without
this man out?
Yeah. So he came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, because I'm out here with a couple of folks working on some other stuff, and for obviously people who know me know what I was out here doing, but this is my primary focus. I don't need to talk about all that right now." So anyway, he's like, "So hey, there's a social hour, happy hour happening. If you guys are going to come down." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, thanks, appreciate that." He's like, So I did. I went down there, got a glass of wine and, some snacks or whatever. And it was just me because the other people I was out here with were not participating. So I sit down, I'm watching the news. I got bored with that in about 2.5 seconds, but I see him like kind of loitering. He's just kind of hanging around, and he kept like doing that weird, like looking at me, and then he kind of go back around the corner. I was like, I feel like he has something he wants to say to me,
Do I need to like whoop your ass? Do you want something?
I don't know. I didn't know. That's the first thing that goes through your mind. That's not what goes through my mind at all.
I'm thinking like either say hello or walk away. I'm not really sure why. Like, there's no reason why. It's not like I'm known. It's like nobody knows me. So like, why are you looking at me crazy?
So
either say something or look away.
I was wondering if maybe he did recognize me, right? Because I've been out here before. Maybe we had a conversation. I'm known to dabble in the devil's nectar, and I don't always remember everything. So that wasn't the case, though. He comes over. Turns out this dude is from Monaco, actually, randomly enough.
Sergei!
Hey. Sergei is probably this dude's uncle, right?
Man, absolutely. It's Sergei's already happening.
You will go to the United States, and you will get a peasant job, working at a hotel, and you will prove your worth, and then you will come home, and I will give you $1 billion.
That'll work.
And I will give you my wife.
He's like, you will go to America and you will meet a man named Papa. And Papa will know a man named Salt. And he will bring these two gentlemen to me. We will enjoy Formula One in 2022.
Hashtag C-string.
That's crazy. The dude's from Monaco.
Okay, Uncle Sergei. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's from there, right? So he comes over to me. I kind of I saw him and I waved at him. I was like, "Hey man, how's it going?" He's like, "Oh, hey, sorry, am I interrupting?" I'm like, "I'm only down here because you invited me, man. So no, let's chat." And one thing leads to another, strike up some simple conversation. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not from here," and that's how I found out he was from Monaco. And I'm like, "Well, what brought you here?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I came over. I wanted to go to school over here, and I went to school for hospitality management." I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense, right? You work in a hotel, and it's a nice hotel, so you're doing well." He's like, "Not as well as you would think." I'm like, "Okay." Now, mind you, I think he wanted to talk to me because I don't know. When I go out, when we go out, we tend to dress nice. Like if we're going out for business and stuff like that, it's not 3-piece suit or whatever, but I dress nice, and I got
nice casual.
Yeah, and I got I've got a really nice leather briefcase type of thing. I mean, like, my appearance is not here's another shameless tag, right? It's not a grunt style t-shirt, and sweatpants. It's I rock really nice boots, really nice jeans, nice sport coat, so I'm looking put together. And so anyway, he's like, so what do you do, for a living? And of course I don't talk about the podcast, so he wanted to know what I was doing with those other gentlemen. So we kind of get into it, and he's like talking about his school and how, he kind of took the lazy approach and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, man. I was like, well, I'm like, I need you to focus, and I'm going somewhere with this, right? So, well, actually you asked about it, but, I started giving him some of the life lessons, I guess, that you and I have discussed many times in the past, and some of them, and I'll go ahead and start now, and hopefully it strikes up another tidbit of conversation. But
he's a young guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. He's probably 27, 28 years old, so been out of college for a couple of years. He was hoping to go back and, take this American degree or whatever, but he's like, it's so expensive. Everything is so expensive, and he's talking about, and now look, I don't want to discourage anybody who might be listening to our podcast from thinking that we're, billionaire assholes, because we're not one of those things. But, he was talking about, like, like, yeah, I'm just trying to get to where I can make like $80,000 a year and, maybe get a place of my own and stuff like that. And now I get it, right? When I was 27, 28 years old, $80,000 a year would have been a lot of money, would have been great, getting out. The dude is single. So he's telling me all these details about himself. And I told him, I was like, look, man, here's the thing. You told me enough information. This is what I would suggest you do. This is some of the, the life lessons that I've gotten from my mentors, and none of it has ever steered me wrong. Okay. First and foremost, you're a single man. Take chances now and take them often, right? Roll the dice every chance you get. I don't care. I told him, I was like, dude, fucking go to Las Vegas. Go to Las Vegas and get a job as an assistant manager at the fucking Golden Nugget. And 5 years from now, you'll be working at the Cosmo. 10 years from now, you might be managing the fucking Bellagio, making $1 million, $1.2 million every year. You never know, but you have to take that chance now. While you're single, while you have no attachments, you got no kids, no one depends on you but you. Now is the time for you to take those chances. He was like, oh man, that's really good advice. He goes, yeah, I know a couple of people back home and whatever else. And I was like, that's great. Life lesson number 2. It's not about who you know. It's about how they know you. You can sit here and say you know them all day long, but if they don't like you and you don't know that, more importantly, you're going to go ask for a favor thinking you're going to get a hookup because you know them, thinking they know you the way you want them to know you, but they don't like you. And now you're nowhere, right? So it doesn't matter who you think you know. It's how they know you. So take the chances now. It's not about, who you know. It's about how they know you. And remember, the third thing was, remember everything you've done up to this point has gotten you exactly where you're at. Now, that seems obvious and cliche, except my mentality, right? Mm-hmm. Everything about my life has worked out based on decisions that I can go back on a calendar and tell you, on this day with this person, I made this decision and it changed my life in this direction.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And if we're talking up and down directions, my life has consistently done this based on decisions that I have made. And there's been a couple of very pivotal moments, a couple handfuls of moments in my life thus far where I've made a decision, and who knows what would have happened had I gone the other way. I'm not saying it would have been bad. Who knows? Maybe I could already be with Sergei on his yacht. Maybe I got my yacht parked right next to Sergei. What I do know is that that's all fucking history.
Yeah.
So I'm appreciative of the decisions that I've made. I'm appreciative of where I am now. I'm learning from all that to continue moving and progressing my life in the direction I want it to go.
Yeah.
As I can.
Just doing this is exactly that. You talk about like a pivotal moment, making a move. Who knows? We don't know what this is going to turn into. But 10 years from now, if it's what we want it to be successful, if it does that, this is the moment. Like, this is that, I made a move, come what may. You know what I'm saying? It's either, it's success or bust, period, dot. Or I'm not going to sit there and overthink it. I'm just going to just keep doing it and see what comes of it. But if you don't make a move, that's also a move. And now you're still at square one and you can't even gain any new intel.
It's
you
the
can't
worst
even say
move
what did and
you
didn't
can
work.
make, though. Yeah, it's the worst move you can make.
You don't gain anything. You don't gain any kind of information by not doing anything. You just sit there and you fester. But at least if you make a move and it fails, you know what didn't work. So like, okay, I know not what to do. Okay, fine. But if it works, you're like, well, shit, that was a great move. This is what I gained from it. All this knowledge. One way or another, you can't fail making a move. But sitting there and crying or complaining or just like that, like you're kind of just stuck. That's not a decision. I mean, it's a poor decision. It's the worst decision.
It is. What you just said was a beautiful and very eloquent way of saying, of describing that. Like, I don't think I've ever heard it put better. You gain no information from doing nothing. And if you take that in, right, and you dissect it a little bit, you truly begin to understand, like, and that's why I told him, take risks now while no one else depends on you.
Be bold.
Because if you fail, that's okay. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, and I'm hoping that people are listening to this entire, hour-long session. to hear me say this. I've been homeless by choice, mind you, but I've been homeless twice in my adult life. Each time was for about 6 months. And I can get into all that'll be another episode where I get into the details of why I chose to do that. But, well, you know what? I'll get into it now. The reasons I chose that is because I was living in Southern California at the time, Hollywood specifically. Now, I was not living on Skid Row. I wasn't in a tent under a bridge, right? I just did not have a home. Okay. I don't want people to come back and be like, he wasn't homeless. He was living at the Ritz-Carlton. Like, he just didn't have a contract to live under someone else's roof. Like, that's not the case. And I also didn't stay at the Ritz-Carlton. I found other places to stay. Okay. I'll just say that. And I did it for about 6 months, 2 different times. But in those 6-month time frames, I was taking the money that I was making, which was still good money at the time, but I wasn't wasting a single penny of it on an electric bill, on rent, water, trash, sewage, like any of that shit, right? So you're talking about 15 years ago, living in Hollywood. I had one of my apartments I had there cost $3,200 a month. 15 years ago. So, roommates, no roommates, whatever, you can assume I was saving at least $2,000 a month that I was able to put into a different project, which, as you know, and these headphones might be a bit of a giveaway, is what I was working on at the time, which was DJ.
No, I think but there was a reason why, right? Like there's purpose behind the move. You executed the move, achieved the goal, and you knew it was temporary. It wasn't like, well, I don't have a job. So it was something like you said, it was by design, the reason why you were homeless and doing that. And that's ideal, right? Like we all want to do things and be like, okay, I'm doing this because of this. It doesn't have to be. And I think that's where like the sacrifices have to be made. You got to cut something. Like you were talking about earlier with the Latte Factor and stuff like that. Like, you got to cut something to gain something. If you want to save, get rid of the coffee, and do that, if that's where you want to make the cuts, but you got to make a cut to get something, or put in more energy, put more work into whatever project you got going on or at work or whatever, and generate more dough, and then whatever extra that you make, pocket that. If you want to keep your lifestyle the same, make more money and then pocket all that excess. You know what I mean? Like, stop. Just because you make more doesn't mean you have to spend more. But people have this,
absolutely
this consumer in our minds. Like, this is how, folks, want to do it. Like, I made more money, so I'm going to go buy this and buy that. It's like, well, why don't you just like stack it or increase your 401k or do this or do that? But no one's thinking that, and then they wonder why.
Well,
and the thing is, who wants to be old? And now your kids are like, yo, like, you're a burden. They want to shove you in some home if they can even afford a home, right? And now, you're just a drag on your family. I mean, that's,
Look, I don't know who said it first, and I've seen multiple memes with different actors and whatever associated with it, and I doubt it was an actor that ever said this first. So I won't even mention any of the names. But the quote goes like this: if you're not willing to sacrifice 1 year of your life to set yourself up for the rest of your life, you're living a very not selfish lifestyle. See, I'm fucking the whole quote up. When all you care about is physical, tangible things. Materialistic. What do they call that? You're living a very materialistic mindset. You have a very material. All you care about is, that's what it was. It wasn't even materialistic. If you can't sacrifice 1 year of your life to set yourself up for the rest of your life, you care too much about what other people think. That was the quote. Yeah. I'm glad I got that out. That was a struggle.
All in due time. No, I think that's huge. I think a lot of folks are doing things for just the wrong reason, or scared to make the tough decision, which will set them up for the long haul. It's easy to stay where you are because you're, and granted, everybody goes through it. Shit, I've definitely gone through it. Like, where it's just like, well, shit, like the harder path will give me the greatest benefit. Now, I don't know this, but in my mind, like, all I know is that right now what I'm doing, it ain't working. And I've been doing it this way for so long and it ain't working. And so, like, you kind of get to like this breaking point where it's like, okay, either I do something different or I keep living this crazy, maddening life where I know it's going to happen because I keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, right? Like the definition of like insane. So you make this other shift, you walk into the unknown, only to find like maybe it's not necessarily better, but at least you did something else. So now, once again, you know now that didn't work. But usually, like if you're going to go against the grain, it's a much smarter decision than what you're currently doing. You know, because like, you know, all the dumb shit leads you to get dumb things. You get dumb outcomes. A smarter move is the thing that's a little more difficult. You know, it's gonna, you know, it's like shit. Like, you know, I got to get my education. Well, I guess, like you get in there and you start doing like, yo, this class sucks. But then like you eventually get that degree. I think anything that's a little more difficult, you're going to see a positive outcome on some level. You know, like in anything that's, you know, just a little, understand like this, the harder you make your life, the better your life will be. If you go with the path of, if you take the path of least resistance, in the long run, your life will be very difficult. Do the work up front, especially when you're young. Like you're talking about, be bold, take chances, take these risks, because what you're doing is you're putting yourself through the paces, right? It's like that movie 300, right? They send their sons out into that wilderness and they're having to fight lions, tigers, and bears and survive winters and all that. But when they come back, they have done, there's that rite of passage. They come back like a man. You know, because
were you man enough to survive?
Exactly, right? You have to, like, in this, and this is, I think, a big thing with like this world that we have now. It's too cush. Now, when I talk about this world, I'm talking like America, all this Western stuff, right? There's people out there living like a real life, like some real next level stuff, you know? And so like they understand this at like in its rawest form. But like if you make your life, if you go out there and take those chances, roll those dice, and put yourself through the paces early, you are now like you pretty much fast forwarded like your evolution, like your brain, 100%. In terms of your maturity, you know?
Yeah.
And so 100%. Now you just like you're taking in, now you've got all these experiences that instead of you putting it on, you slow rolled it and put it on pause, like, well, I'll just sit here and just watch TV or not take chances, right? When you finally start doing that at 30, you could have had that young in your 20s, but you opted out. You know, you think about that though too. Like rewind back to our 20s, right? I definitely bought more clothes in my 20s than I bought in my 30s. Oh shit, I don't buy shit now.
Right.
But I was also in Korea for a while where I could get things for cheap. But no, I agree.
Well, I say that to say this, right? Like I have friends. Now, granted, I have millionaire friends that are incredibly materialistic, but they worked really hard to get there. They found a niche environment.
Exactly.
They're now millionaires. But that's also part of, you know, their
it's not the stream brand. Of income as well. Yeah.
Right. It's
part of the business.
If you work in fashion, but you don't look fashionable and you're not up to times, well, then you're probably in the wrong industry. Right. So my point is though, is I have friends, because there's multiple levels to that, right? Mm-hmm. There's millionaires that have made millions and like to go classy. That's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about folks who started out at 18 years old with minimum wage, 20 years later are millionaires and still wear the same t-shirts they had in high school. Right?
The Zuckerbergs out there.
Or clothes. Yeah. Or clothes that have been given to them.
Yeah.
And then I also have friends who at 19 years old spent all their money on clothes and jewelry, you know, and you know, trying to, you know, what is it? Keeping up with the Joneses is what they say, right? That kind of thing. Who now 20 years later look really happy and they're driving Teslas and they go out to dinner every night and all these different things that I know how much money they make and they are far from millionaires. And so they look happy, right, on the outside. Meanwhile, I got a millionaire buddy wearing a high school t-shirt who is happy, you know?
Oh, yeah. It's all fun.
Maybe. Yeah.
No, I mean, like, especially like out here, especially in Cali or any big city, right? A lot of big cities across the country, whatever. There's a lot of people that are out here fronting that they're balling out of control and they're not. But that's what like the appearances, right? It's all about appearances and all that. Me, I tell you, like right now, I don't give two craps about appearances. You know this. I don't care. I do like to get, like when I get fresh, I get fresh. But I'll tell you like this. I can put together an outfit in a Marshalls or whatever, and you would think, now granted, I mean, unless you knew, I'm still going to look like $1 million walking out the door. You know, when we go hang out, there's one particular, we went to this event up in LA. Remember you and I was rocking this joint. I was looking pretty fly. As soon as we walk out the door, this dude's like, yo, my man, you looking fresh. And I was in my mind, I'm cracking up. I'm like, little does he know I spent $50 on this entire outfit. I was there cracking up in my mind, you know, but you know, it's definitely not necessary to spend all one's money. Oh my God. We're having technical difficulties. Hey, can you still hear me? You froze. What's with your garbage internet? Tell the GM of that hotel that you want a refund on. Oh my God, it's me. You son of a bitch.